Double Game Week 25 is finally upon us, so who better to walk us through it and give us some valuable advice than FPL expert Bakar. Big man, you're back. Another phenomenal week last week. We'll touch on it very, very briefly just because you are into the top 40k now. But the people want to know what to do with their teams in Double Game Week 25, more specifically. At the time of recording, we've just had the news that Trent is going to be confirmed out of Double Game Week 25 and the League Cup final. A lot of stuff's going on right now. We need your help.
Hello, Jack. Hello, and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, I've just been getting all the rub of the green in recent weeks. It's almost as if everything that I'm touching is turning to gold. So I'm
Wow.
very, very happy with my performances in recent weeks. I got a 98-point score this week, which was one of my best scores ever. That Arsenal West Ham game, that one half, I think that's probably the best half of FPL I've witnessed in a long, long time, having Gabriel Saliba and Saka. And we discussed it in our preview video last week where I was very close between Saliba and Porro. I luckily ended up going Saliba this week, and yeah, it was a huge swing. So yeah, very, very happy. And I hope I can now crack the code going forward into the doubles and blanks, because this is like, apart from preseason, this is where the part of the season which I really, really like. This is
Yeah.
where the engaged managers, they tend to earn their money. This is the business end of the season, and this is where gains are there to be made. I love the planning. I love the strategy, the thinking, the thought processes that go into it. And I'm hoping I can ace it ahead of the double this week.
Right, let's get into it. Let's have a look at your team. And one man that's in there right now, Trent, is currently orange flagged or yellow flagged or whatever, but we've just literally had the news that he is 100% confirmed out of Double Game Week 25. What do we do with him?
He's a sell, of course. He's a sell. If he's out for the Carabao Cup final, then he's out. Just don't see a scenario he's going to end up playing both games this week. He has a blank next week anyway. And then City after. He's just not worth keeping at his price. He's an easy sell. Now, who we get for him is the bigger question.
It's so tough
Firstly,
though. Oh,
I think for my team, it's easier.
okay.
Now I say that because let's assume a lot of people are in this position where they have two City players in their team, and they have Trent as well. I think getting a City defender is the obvious choice, because a lot of us are in this position where we have plenty of blank players in Game Week 26, because the likes of Chelsea, Spurs, all these teams are blanking, and Liverpool are blanking as well. So, a lot of us will be loaded up on these teams and will inevitably need more bodies in 26. I prefer a City defender because that adds an extra body to my team in 26. I know that City, their defense is a bit random. They tend to concede random goals. We don't exactly know who's going to play all three games, but I'm happy to take the chance, because if I'm getting an extra player in 26, then yeah, I'm happy to take the chance. And the fixtures this week are fine as well from a defensive point of view. City are only behind. They're only behind Arsenal for XGC this season, so the stats are as good as they get. I think I'll personally get Ake for my own team, and I think he's probably the City defender of choice to own. I think Walker and Ake are probably the best bets at this point in time. But now with news that Guardiola is out for
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks, I think Ake is the one that makes more sense. I guess there's an outside chance of Akanji playing left back, but if it happens, it happens. I'll take it on the chin with the information that we have available right now. I just think that Ake is probably the City defender of choice to go for.
Just from what I've seen, and speaking to some City fans and just seeing what people are saying in general on Twitter, I don't think Akanji has played left back this season, or if he has, he's played there just once. And a lot of people are pretty sure as well that if Akanji does play left back, then Ake would play left centre back anyway. But I agree with you. I think that Ake is the most nailed City defender right now. I'd go as far to say, with Guardiola out, even though Walker's played a lot of minutes this season. I think Stones coming back, Stones and Diaz could play together on that right side. And Ake's got some outside goal threat as well, doesn't he, really? He's got a bit of upside there.
He does. I'm not relying on him for attacking points,
I
but
am.
he's a decent shout.
Fair enough.
And I think the argument now is that for those people who have, let's say, triple City in their team, the likes of Foden, De Bruyne, Haaland, which a lot of people have, who do you go for in that case? I think I would go with Van Dijk personally.
Okay.
Now, why I prefer Van Dijk over the other Liverpool defenders, I'll explain. I think Van Dijk is most safe in terms of expected minutes. You can call me boring for stating the obvious. But when you look at the other defenders, I think Konate has. I mean, I think he probably needs his minutes to get managed, especially before the cup final. He's an injury-prone player, and I think Kwanzaa's kind of done well for Liverpool. I think he can come in for him in the Luton fixture, which is where ideally you'd want your Liverpool defender of choice to play. Robertson isn't exactly an option with Tsimikas around either. Bradley, I guess, could come into the equation now with Trent out, especially at 4.1 million. He does have upside as well. But I'm slightly concerned that with Gomez, Klopp played Gomez in the previous fixture against Luton, which was the reverse fixture. And in his interview in that game, he said that he played Gomez for his physicality
Yeah.
and because he wanted height in the team to counter Luton. Now that could happen again, and if that happens, then maybe Bradley is a bit of a risk. I'm not entirely sure, which is why I just think if you can go from Trent to Van Dijk, that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people in their teams. I think Doughty is an option as well, but I'm not really considering him as much as the others because Luton have a blank in 26. Their fixtures are nowhere near as good as Liverpool and City. So if you're getting Doughty, I think the better time to do it is in Game Week 27 or 28 and not this week for Trent. So yeah, I think to make it simple, Walker or Ake, if you have 2 City, probably Ake. And if you have 3 City already in your team, then you go for Van Dijk.
It's a bit annoying. For my team personally, I really wanted to get De Bruyne in. I know there's risks of minutes there, but I don't know, he's such a fun pick and he's in unbelievable form now somehow, despite just coming back into the team and just regaining fitness. And I do agree with you on Bradley. He's another player that I'd love to get in my team. The price is great. You can get him in, then just bench him, I was thinking, until you wildcard in whatever week it is. But
that's fine, but the main concern is that you need minutes this week, right? That's the main concern.
That's why I can't get him.
I don't think the price exactly is a consideration for a lot of managers, especially now that they're selling Trent, right? A lot of money will be freed up. Liverpool have a blank in 26. Then they have tough fixtures right after, and they also have a blank in 29. So Salah and Haaland is not going to happen because I mean, a lot of people, even if they buy Salah this week, they'll be selling him right after. So funds exactly aren't an issue right now in FPL.
Yeah, I agree.
If funds are an issue, then just go Van Dijk over Bradley.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking Bradley for Trent, and then gives you the money to go from like Palmer or Gordon to a De Bruyne if you wanted to just go really aggressive, but it's probably just not worth the risk. Let's talk more generally then about the best City and Liverpool assets. I asked this question, and I have done for the past few weeks, but it changes week on week. Obviously, Trent now not in that conversation. Sorry?
We seem to be addressing it every week, right?
Well, exactly,
but the best thing, but all I've been saying all these weeks is that the best time to answer this question is right before the Game Week 25 double. And right here, this is the exact time to be answering that question. It's a tough one. I think from Liverpool, the defender of choice is Van Dijk. From City, it's Walker or Ake. I think, I mean, Foden, I think, is perfectly fine for cover if you need City attack. Haaland, of course, picks himself. Triple City attack is fine if you can go there, but I assume for a lot of people, it would require major surgery. For example, as you mentioned with your team, it would require a lot of surgery, and with my team as well. But if someone can afford to go there, I have no problem going there. I think there is a chance that he plays both games.
De Bruyne, this is.
De Bruyne, this is. But if you ask me, Jack, I still would prefer the Foden, Haaland, and the defender route because I just get the feeling that the defenders, their minutes are more secure than De Bruyne. I do think De Bruyne could get his minutes managed like he did against Brentford. Sorry, it was Everton at the weekend, right? So it could happen. And I don't really want to put myself in the position where I'm sort of ripping my team up to get him in, and then he gets benched for the double. So I still think a City defender and Foden, Haaland is the way to go. If someone has Alvarez, I think he's worth keeping. I don't think he's worth the transfer in and out at this stage. I think there's a good chance he can get. I think he'll get the Brentford game. I don't think he'll start Chelsea. I think he'll probably start Brentford though, because in the previous game against Brentford as well, Pep went with both De Bruyne and Alvarez. So I think Alvarez gets the Brentford fixture personally.
I think as well with Bernardo Silva out now as well. I mean, we don't know the extent of his injury really, just how long he's going to be out for, but that does open up another, obviously, attacking slot. It may push Foden wider, and then there's another 10 role for Alvarez. Or if De Bruyne is benched, then you'd expect Alvarez to start. So there probably is a little bit more scope for him to get increased minutes. Let's talk about our Liverpool players though. You have Jota and Darwin, and now you have a free slot. Are you tempted to get another one in?
Yeah, I mean, coming to Liverpool, I think Salah is probably not the worth. He's not worth the surgery in and out. Even if, I mean, I'll address the scenario. Even if we get, it's an early kickoff, we get news that he's starting. I don't think he's worth the transfer in
There's
and out
no
per
way he's
se.
going to start. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, hypothetically,
Hypothetically, yeah,
right?
fair, fair.
If he's benched, of course, no one will buy him, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hypothetically, if he's starting, I
Okay.
still don't think I'd go there, and I doubt, it would make sense for a lot of people in their teams because he's not a captaincy option. You'll be selling him after this week anyway. I think if you're buying a Liverpool defender, sorry, a Liverpool midfielder, you might as well go with Diaz. I think Diaz is probably safer for minutes as opposed to Jota now that Salah is back. But I'm not entirely confident in my analysis because I would like to mention here that while I do think that Diaz is ahead of Jota in the pecking order, I feel as if there might be a scenario where the guy who's behind in the pecking order gets to play the Moneyball fixture, which is the Luton game which is the second game week, a second game in game week 25, right? So that would probably mean that Jota is a better option to have because you ideally want a player who plays that fixture and who starts that fixture. I still think that Darwin is better than the Liverpool mids. I mean, in terms of explosive potential, in terms of his security of starts, I think he's ahead of both Diaz and Jota in the pecking order. So I still think that if you're getting one Liverpool attacker, and if you don't have any other attack in your team, I still think I would go with Darwin.
Okay. That's actually
But
that
let's
is
say
interesting.
But let's say if you don't have a Liverpool mid in your team, then I think if I was buying one this week, I would go with Diaz, but I could easily be wrong, and I'm not sure about this because
Oof.
when on the field, I think Jota is better. His underlying data certainly suggests that Jota is better than Diaz when both of them play. But it's just about the minutes, and I think Diaz's minutes are slightly safer. And in the scenario where you already own someone like a Jota and Darwin, do you go with triple Liverpool attack? Now that's another question, right?
Yeah.
I can sort of do that because I'm selling Trent and a Liverpool slot is opening up in my team and a lot of our teams as well. But the thing is, why I'm not likely to do it is that it is very likely that you sell whichever Liverpool mid you own next week. So if you get Diaz as well, you'll likely end up selling him, in 26 as well. The problem there is not only is it an extra booked transfer for you, but without FA Cup results, which we will only get to know in before Game Week 27 and
Yeah.
not before Game Week 26, it is very hard to get a midfielder of your choice next week. I think the likes of, Douglas Luiz is someone I've named earmarked and I sort of name checked. I think he is probably one who will be popular and I have sort of earmarked him for my own team next week. But apart from him, I don't see too many names who stand out. I think depending on FA Cup results, you might want Bruno later. But given the information we have available right now, I think it's probably better if you just have one Liverpool mid. I think that's enough with Darwin. That's why I'm not exactly a huge fan of going with both Liverpool mids.
Yeah. That is true. But, yeah, the players that you are getting in this week that blank in 26 are going to be big issues, and you are probably going to need to force them out pretty quickly. And as you say, if there's no clear option, then that is a tough spot. What I would ask you though is if you didn't have Darwin this week, right, and money wasn't much of an issue, would you still get him in over someone like a Tony, who isn't going to be an issue moving forward? Plays in 26. And then obviously with Darwin, you're going to have to sell him. So it's knowing that there's that booked in transfer.
Yeah. So coming to the forwards now, again, this is a very important question for this week. I think Darwin is better than Tony, and I do think he's worth the transfer in and out. Again, as mentioned earlier, he's only behind Haaland in terms of big chances per 90 this season, and for me, he's ahead of the rest of the Liverpool attackers, barring Mo Salah in the pecking order. I just think his upside is big this week. I would find it very, very difficult to go without. Okay, hypothetically now, let's assume that, you buy Tony. The problem with buying Tony is that I think from game week 27 onwards, given how good Aston Villa's fixtures are, I think you would want Watkins
Hmm.
for game week 27, game week 28, and game week 29.
Yeah.
He could even end up being the best captaincy option in game week 29. So I don't see a scenario where, you rip up your Haaland, Solanke, and Watkins front line after 27. So it
You
isn't
don't see
exactly.
Haaland to Solanke in 28 as an option for 2 game weeks.
I guess it could be, but then again, you could do Haaland to Adebayo, right?
You could,
If
but
you're
that's
doing Haaland to
Adebayo.
Solanke, then
Adebayo's not Solanke. He doesn't have that 28
Adebayo's not.
fixture. Obviously,
Yeah,
you need
but
Solanke for 28, right? No one's
I know,
disputing that.
I know. Hypothetically, what I'm trying to say is that Adebayo has a double as well, right, in
It's
28,
true.
and
It's
it is
true.
very likely that Luton have a fixture in 29.
Yeah.
So if you're selling Haaland in 27, why would you buy Tony, who has fixtures in 27, 28, 29, but doesn't have a double, and Adebayo has has an extra fixture, right? So just going by pure math, I think if I was selling Haaland in 27, apart from Solanke, I might go with Adebayo, right? So
Yeah.
again, to bring me to my original point, I just don't think Tony fits into any of these plans, right?
I get
Now,
that. I
coming
get
to
that because you're going later on.
the
You're going
next,
to need you. Yeah, you're gaining a fixture now in 26, or at least you're
but
gaining
you're
a
losing it
transfer,
later
but
as
you're
well.
losing it later on if you don't then
Exactly, and the
replace
fixtures
Tony.
aren't exactly that great. Yeah, Tony has done well against the bigger sides in the past. There's no doubting that. But I mean, on paper, Liverpool, City, West
Yeah.
Ham, Chelsea, Arsenal, in the next five, this is not exactly a great run, right? And okay, coming to Watkins now, Watkins and Solanke. Now, I was lucky enough to get away with a Watkins blank last week as someone who sold. I think if you own Watkins this week, and if you don't own Darwin, and let's say if you don't have Trent as well and you don't have any pressing issues in your team, I think Watkins to Darwin makes a lot of sense because again, I see enough gains to be made this week to for the extra transfer to be worth it basically next week, even if you're sort of selling next week. But I guess a lot of people who own Trent won't exactly have the luxury of making this transfer because they're already taking hits anyway, and then you sort of
Yeah.
get forced into double hits. So yeah,
Yeah.
for -8 it probably doesn't make sense, but for -4 it probably makes sense.
Okay.
Uh, and I guess it's the same as the case with Solanke. I guess if you have Solanke, if you have Watkins, if you have Holland, but you don't have Darwin, then yeah, Solanke to Darwin makes a lot of sense this week, and then you can sort of reverse the transfer next week so that you can get to own Solanke before game week 28.
There are so many different paths here because I'm thinking, if you were to sell Solanke for Darwin and then get him back in 26, he has City at home, which is obviously not an ideal fixture. Whereas if you went Solanke to Tony and then didn't get Solanke back in 26, but said you're going to get Solanke back in 27 or 28, you could then have Tony for West Ham away and then get Solanke back in for Burnley away when Tony has Chelsea at home. There are so many different
Exactly.
pathways and things.
Exactly. There are a lot of moving parts
Yeah,
in this scenario, and all you can do is you can just plan with the information that is available
yeah,
right now.
yeah. Right, I want to ask you about your team. Are you going to take a hit or not as it stands? What do you think? Are you going to just do the Ake move, which I've plugged in here to the My Team tool, or is there another move coming? 4 million in the bank. What are you thinking?
It's tricky. It's tricky, Jack, because I think the Trent to Ake move is almost certainly going to happen. 99.99%.
Okay.
Either him or Walker. I think I'm leaning Ake. So that's one thing that is sorted. Now, the good thing for my team is that Charlie Taylor has been actually tailored back, has
Yeah,
been
back in
fixtured back
training.
in
What a
training. So
man.
that, I mean, I probably get an extra point from him next week.
Nah,
Just
an
gives
extra
me an
6
extra body
minimum.
going forward.
Palace have got no
To be fair,
players.
he's done really well. Whenever I've needed Charlie Taylor this season, I think I've played him twice. In fact, I remember he came on from the bench once, and in the other time he got a 10-pointer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's been an absolute hero. So yeah, I mean, irrespective of what he does, unless he doesn't get a red card or he scores an own goal, I think he's already
Oh
done
no.
enough to justify selection this season.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm happy to take a hit or two next week personally because currently I'm not planning to wildcard before game week 30 because I just think there are plenty of gains to be made after 31 once we get to know the main fixture schedule, the we will just have a lot of clarity regarding the blanks and doubles for 34, 37 later. So I want to be in a scenario where, I'm navigating Gameweek 26 and 29. So if I'm taking hits next week, which are helping me navigate 26 and 29, I don't necessarily mind that uh, as per principle. But let's say regarding this week, the only other move apart from the Trent to Ake transfer I'm considering is that I'm considering selling a goalkeeper, which is likely going to be Dubravka because Areola plays in 29. I'm generally considering selling Dubravka and hitting him out for either Allison or Kaminsky. And
Okay.
it's something which is dodgy and it is probably going to raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah, it's raised mine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you why in a
But
second.
there are two or three reasons behind it. Firstly, it's the fact that Newcastle have been really poor in recent weeks. They've kept just one clean sheet in the previous 10 fixtures, and
Sure.
that's been against 10-man Fulham, which is fine. But their underlying data is basically it's sort of jumped off a cliff. The main reason though is that I'm getting extra fixtures. If I buy Allison, I'm getting a really good fixture this week, and then I'm getting good fixture in 27 as well, and he's completely nailed to play. I'm also getting a decent fixture in Game Week 30, which gives me an opportunity to play him over, let's say, Dubravka or Areola. So I do think that there's that slight gain which will probably be enough to justify that extra hit. Now, with goalkeepers, we've seen time and again that they tend to do well, for saves and bonus points in double game weeks, especially. I mean, a case in point being this week, where we saw the Burnley goalkeeper Trafford. He got a 4-pointer, dude, away to
Mm,
Anfield.
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that Kaminsky will replicate that, but I mean, these points do add up. I'm not expecting any clean sheets for him. But let's say if I'm selling Dubravka I mean, I've mentioned my reasons for Allison, but let's say if I go Kaminsky gets me 2 extra fixtures. First this week, then another in 28, and then potentially another better fixture in Game Week 29 if he plays, which he is likely to. So all these points, these save points, these appearance points, they add up. And yeah, I just think it's close, and it's not exactly as clear cut a decision as it should be. Which is why I think I will decide it closer to the deadline, and I will leave it till late because it's a 50-50 call in my opinion. And to be very honest, I'm leaning towards hitting one of these guys in.
The thing is with goalkeepers, and this is kind of why I support what you're thinking in principle, is that I do think because there's the notion generally amongst the community that goalkeepers are never worth transfers. Sometimes we do leave a lot of points on the table because we never think to make a goalkeeper transfer. And actually, you look back and over 4 or 5 game weeks, if you'd made a transfer that you'd thought of for a goalkeeper, even for a hit, you'd have been up. So sometimes I do feel like goalkeepers are overlooked. When it comes to Kaminsky, though, I would ask why you didn't make the transfer. If you're going to make it this week, why didn't you make it last week for a hit? Now, I know obviously that's gone now and it didn't work out last week, but do you not think the moment to do it was last week? Although that doesn't change you doing it this week, but do you get kind of what I'm saying?
I guess I just wanted some more confirmation bias on the
Okay.
Newcastle defense,
Okay,
which
that's fair.
I got it. But you raise a very good point. I agree. Uh, I guess the time to do it was last week, but both of them got 1-pointer, so I sort of got away with not
Yeah.
doing it if I was to do it, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, another reason why I didn't do it was because I am considering Allison, and I did not want to rule out Ederson. That was the main reason. But now that I'm getting a route into Ake, I don't think I need Ederson, and I can't get him anyway because I'll have triple city. That's the main reason why I didn't get Kaminsky, because Ederson
Very
was always
fair.
on the table. Now, I can get Allison, I can get Kaminsky. I think this is an okay time for me to sort of go there if I want to. I will sort of map out, um, my transfer plans after this week's transfers, and the only thing is that I think Allison is probably better than Kaminsky, but I just have to sort of figure out whether I will need that extra 1 million later, right?
Okay.
If I need that extra 1 million later, I might as well get Kaminsky. If I don't need it, then I think Allison is probably better.
Yeah, the Allison shout I actually do quite like. Um, you got plum fixtures this week. Is he definitely nailed? By the way, is he back from? Obviously, he
He
wasn't.
wasn't. He was in training, and I'm sure
Okay.
we'll hear in the press conference. But he should be back. I mean, goalkeeper. He had flu apparently,
Yeah.
so yeah, he should be okay, I think. And we'll
Yeah.
have the leaks anyway, right? We'll have
We'll
leaks
have
because
leaks.
it's
That's
the
a
early
great point.
kickoff. Yeah,
We'll have the
so it's
leaks.
not a huge issue.
12:30 game. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, now that slot has opened up in defence, for Liverpool, that is your six sort of like top team doublers there. So at least you're covered really there. And then the team for 26, if you were to do those moves, as you say, just Areola back in for Alisson, then Alisson just plays the rest of the games.
Yeah.
29 no, but until you wildcard whenever that week is.
Basically, yeah. And the thing is that, because Liverpool's fixture schedule is such that they're blanking in 26 and 29, at no point will I want to triple up. So it's not as if going for Alisson prices me out of the third Liverpool that I might want later, which is why we're generally hesitant to get, these Liverpool or City goalkeepers. But I am very, very confident that I won't need the third Liverpool later. So it is something which I have looked at.
That's because you're going to sell Liverpool asset next week. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, irrespective, right? What I'm saying is that at any point between now and game week
Oh,
30,
sorry, I
let's
see.
say
You're not going to want to triple up.
yeah,
You don't mind about
uh,
being locked out of a player. I
yeah,
understand. Yes,
exactly.
yes.
What I'm saying is that from any point from game week 26, which is next week, till game week 30, I will not be buying a Liverpool player. I don't think I will be. So yeah, he won't really lock me out of anyone, is the point.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. The final thing that I want to ask you about is Haaland and whether we need to even consider not triple captaining him. For me, it's been kind of locked for a while ever since we've seen him playing now, and he looks fit again. He's back playing consistent minutes. Is it a debate or should we just do it?
I mean, it's always nice to have a debate, but when it comes to Haaland, I don't think there is a debate, to be very honest. I don't want to go there because I'm very, very certain that I will be triple captaining him. It's not often that we'll get someone of his pedigree, Erling Haaland, having a fixture with two home fixtures where he tends to do really, really well, with City going all out for the title, and with his minutes being completely secure, right? I just don't see a scenario where this is likely to happen with a player of his caliber. I guess the only realistic alternative, if anyone is to consider, is probably Dom Solanke, who's playing Luton at home, Sheffield United at home in game week 28. But I mean, Solanke is Solanke, Haaland is Haaland, City or City, Bournemouth or Bournemouth. There's a big difference between the ceiling of these two players. So yeah, I think Haaland is clear for me.
Oh, okay. I've seen a few people saying that you don't get the benefit of a triple captain if everyone's playing it in the same week. Is that true? Does the maths work out there? Is it better to save it and then try and get away with a player that's really high owned, not doing as well as people may think, and then use it on a Solanke or someone in a 28 or a De Bruyne against Wolves or something like that?
I just think that's the reasoning is flawed. You just triple captain the player who you think will score the highest number of points. If you think Haaland in 25 outscores Solanke in 28, then you triple captain Haaland, which is exactly what I'm going to do.
There we go. All right. Let's round things off by looking at your AI recommended transfers. Now, the recommendation here is just to make one transfer. I think that's. Do you have one free transfer?
I do. Yeah, I
just you do. Okay. So perhaps we could look at custom transfers and set it to 2 and then see what it would say to take a hit. But the recommendation is to sell Trent for Van Dijk. That is just the one-off single transfer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to defy the algorithm this week. I just want to risk going with the City outfielder in 26. And if I want Liverpool defensive coverage, there's always Alisson that I'm looking at. And yeah, so I think I'm leaning towards doing the goalkeeper transfer. Which goalkeeper transfer I do, I'm not sure about.
Oh yeah, I definitely favour Alisson. It's just whether you need to go down the path and check that you don't need the money, but I don't know about Kaminsky. I don't know. I feel like that the teams that he's playing against could easily just score 4 goals, especially Liverpool, and then therefore fine. That removes his points, really, doesn't it?
That's fine. That's fine, but he's gonna get save points. If Liverpool are scoring 4, they're also getting plenty of shots on target. So
yeah, in theory, yeah.
Something I know. I completely get it. I understand this is a transfer which will not be popular. I get it. It's again, it's just based on, it's just based on the number of fixtures that I'm targeting. And to be very honest, I don't think there'll be a huge difference between Dubravka, Kaminsky, Alisson, and the hit factored in the weeks to come. I just think there'll be a 1-2 point difference either way. To be very honest, I don't think it'll be a season turning decision as such, because I mean, I'm getting the extra fixtures, I'm taking a hit. It's more or less going to be similar, right? I'm not going to gain much. I'm not going to lose by much unless Dubravka ends up getting, a penalty save or a clean sheet or something extraordinary like that.
Yeah, which at this moment in time seems relatively unlikely. I mean, even clean sheets seem quite hard to come by, as you said, with Newcastle. Okay, my friend, that is going to do it. That's half an hour of phenomenal content and advice and tips.
Cheers, mate.
In preparation for 25.
Thanks
Guys, as
me.
always, if you want to see what Bakar ends up doing locked in, then your team reveal, your final team reveal with your transfers will be posted on the website, Fantasy Football Hub, down below. Link to that is, of course, in the description, pin comment as well. Sign up, you can see what Bakar does, and also have a look at your own team on the My Team tool. Bakar, thanks, mate. Good luck this week.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And good luck to all you guys as well.